everyone, welcome back to Pac-12 Softball, the final swing. I'm your host, Aaliyah Jordan. If you don't know, I say this every single week, but if you don't know, I played softball at UCLA for 7 years, was a 2-time All-American, and a 2019 national champion. And now I have a podcast on the last and final Pac-12 softball season ever. I don't know if I'm even saying that correctly, but yes, the Pac-12 is ending, and so we are done with the regular season, which is crazy. I was telling my coworker the other day, I was like, this was like 2 days ago, I was like, people's seasons are over now. Like, this went by so fast. I couldn't fathom the fact that people were done playing softball and that we're now officially in postseason. So yeah, it is Pac-12 tournament time, which is only the second and final, which is interesting. If you don't know, it's at Stanford this year. Last year was at Arizona. So it's at Stanford, and there was 9 teams. ASU and Oregon State had to play into the number 8 spot. Going into it, Oregon State was 8, ASU was 9. So let's talk about that game a little bit. Oregon State's last series actually was against Cal, where they lost 2 and won 1. They had to play into the Pac-12 tournament, like I said. They played ASU and they lost 1-3. And so they ended their season with a 21 and 29 record. So with a losing record, you're not going to get into the top 64. So you're not going to make the NCAA tournament. So kind of sad for them that they ended their season, especially, I don't know, I think you always want to see every Pac-12 school to make it into the tournament, so kind of sad about that. But some highlights for them this season was definitely getting a win from Stanford, UCLA, and Arizona this season. Going on over to ASU. ASU's last regular season series was against UCLA, and they actually lost all 3 of those games. Like I said before, they had to play into the Pac-12 tournament and beat Oregon State 3-1, like I said. Then they played UCLA yesterday, where they lost 6-0, and so, like Oregon State, unfortunately for them, they'll be ending their season as well, as they don't have a winning record, which is really sad. When you think of ASU softball, they've always been such a huge powerhouse, regardless of who the coach has been. If you think about Clint Myers, you think about Trisha Ford, even, other coaches that have coached at ASU, they've always been like a regular household name that you would talk about when it comes to big softball programs. So I know it's only the second year under Coach Bartlett, and I really hope that in the future that they can get back to where they once were, because like I said, ASU is just such a household name, and everyone wants to see them be successful. So I really hope next year that they look a little different than they did this year. Going on over to Utah. Utah's last regular season series was against Washington, and they only got to play 2 of those games due to weather. Of course, I feel like that happened to like half of the games at Washington this year. But Utah actually won both of those games. So both games were really, really close. Game 1 being 5-4 and game 2 being 2-1. And I think that was huge momentum huge momentum for Utah, especially going into the Pac-12 tournament, because, I think coming into this season, I expected Utah to do really well with Mariah Lopez returning, hitters like Abby Dayton, Haley Denning, Julia Jimenez. I expected them, I think everyone kind of expected them to be a really tough team this year, especially winning the Pac-12 tournament last year, upsetting UCLA. So even after that, they made it to the World Series, did really good in super regionals. So yeah, I think everyone just coming into the season expected them to be a big front runner, especially in the Pac-12, but just in the nation. And not saying that they haven't done good things this year, they definitely have, but I expected them to just do a little bit better than they did. So they've started off a little bit slower. But like I said, I think if you just look at their past 4 or 5 games, they've been killing it. Getting 2 huge wins from Washington, and then even yesterday, they beat Oregon in the first round of the Pac-12 tournament. And so if you didn't watch that game, going into the 7th inning of that game, Oregon was winning 4-3. They just needed 3 outs to get the win. So Utah started off the top of the 7th with 2 hits from Haley Denning and Abby Dayton, and then they were both sacrificed over. And then 2 batters later, and a wild pitch. So I have to explain the situation. They were intentionally walking the batter, and you see the catcher, she's standing up, waiting for the ball to come, and the ball comes. It looks like it was like right like in the chest, and it just tips her glove, goes behind her, pass ball, and Haley Denning scores, and obviously that ties the game, which is kind of like so sad. Anyways, whatever. That happens. She ties the game. Then Shanti Posse comes up, and she hits a 3-run home run. Isn't that what always ends up happening? To no matter whoever it is. I feel like every time someone intentionally walks someone, the next batter's kind of like, screw you, I'm going to do my own thing, and essentially just kind of screws the other team and hits a home run or gets a hit, whatever. So that put them up 3, so makes it 7-3. And then in the bottom of the 7th, Mariah Lopez was able to hold off the Ducks and get the win and head them to the semis. So now Utah faces Stanford, and that's going to be a really good game. I mean, like I said, they've got the momentum. They just faced Washington's pitching staff, who's really good. So we'll see what they do against Nyjah or Reagan Krause. Honestly, whoever, their whole pitching staff's really good. So we'll see how that all plays out. Again, they were the Pac-12 tournament champs last year, so they can definitely do it again. But yeah, it'll be a really interesting game to watch tonight. Going over to Cal. Cal's last Pac-12 series was against Oregon State, like I said before, where they won 2 and lost 1. And then in the opening round of the Pac-12 tournament, they lost to Stanford, which we'll talk a little bit about later. But they should make the top 64, so they'll make it into the NCAA tournament. And last year they went to Oklahoma for regionals and did really well. They made it to the regional championship. I mean, obviously Oklahoma won, but I feel like people sleep on Cal. I feel like I've said that before in other weeks previously, but I feel like people sleep on Cal, and they've taken games from people, and they can definitely do it. Cal is a team that I definitely can see at least at a super regional. I can see them doing really well at a super regional. So it'll be interesting to see where they're put. I mean, I feel like they always screw over Pac-12 teams, so this is the last year that they can screw up some Pac-12 teams. So, or I should not screw over. So I think sending them to Oklahoma last year was just insane. But hopefully they don't have to go as far. Hopefully, I don't know where I see them going, but anywhere I see them going, I think that they can definitely do a really good job and get the job done. So I hope to see them in super regionals this year. Going over to Arizona actually had their bye week, so they did not play anyone, but they did play Washington yesterday in the Pac-12 tournament and won. Not only did they win, they run-ruled them. I can't say that right. 11-3. 11-3. They had 13 hits. Washington had 6. They just, oh my gosh. I don't think I expected that. I mean, again, Washington's been slowly on the I don't want to say on a decline, just like with them losing games to Utah the last weekend, and then losing to Arizona, who I believe they should have beat. Again, this is off Washington's pitching staff, who's really good. Like, Ruby Malin is really good. So to see Arizona's offense just pop off like this it's really good for them. And so they definitely killed it. And again, like I said, tonight they play UCLA. Okay, if you guys didn't know, in the series against UCLA won 2, and Arizona won one, but in the game that Arizona won, they kind of like dominated UCLA, and then in the game that Arizona won, originally in the first couple innings, Arizona was winning 7-0, and then UCLA came all the way back. So this is gonna be like a really good, like huge dogfight for the last time UCLA and Arizona play a rivalry game in the Pac-12 tournament. This is gonna be so good. This is a really good game to watch. Wow, yeah, okay, I'm gonna talk about more about that later when we talk about UCLA. Going over to Oregon. Oregon's last regular season game was against Stanford, where they lost two and won one. Again, I already talked about what happened in the Pac-12 tournament for them. But they'll make the top 64. Oregon's another team, just I feel like how that they always, I feel like, do good in regionals and super regionals, so I see them doing really well. I hope they do really well wherever they end up going, but we'll talk more about that next week, I guess. Already kind of talked a little bit about Washington. Stanford beat Cal in the opening game in the Pac-12. Already kind of talked about that. Let's talk about UCLA. So UCLA swept ASU in the last Pac series, where Caitlin Terry pitched every single inning in every single pitch of those games. Not only that, she pitched every single game against ASU again yesterday in the opening round of the Pac-12 tournament. And she's a freshman. I'm not sure what's going on with Taylor Tinsley, but it's definitely amazing to see what Caitlin Terry is doing, and just for her to like hold her own out there as a freshman is insane. I mean, she threw every single pitch. I wish I had the amount of pitches she threw, but oh my gosh, like in my head I'm like, my shoulder would be falling off. I don't know how she did it, but she did it. And I feel like you would think like, oh, like game 2, game 3 of that series that she's, not throwing as hard, doesn't have as much movement. No, she's throwing, like, you would think she's fresh every single game. This, like, opening round against ASU, she looked fresh. So they are riding her right now, which is a little concerning, just because obviously she can only do so much, especially once it gets to like the NCAA tournament and you're playing so many games. I mean, I guess the same thing with the Pac-12 tournament. We'll see, because they have another game tonight, and then they have another game Saturday. So if they win, obviously. So hopefully we get to see Taylor Tinsley out there. I hope everything is okay with her. They're definitely going to need another pitcher to get, through the rest of the season. But still, honestly, like, hats off to Caitlin Terry, because she just absolutely killed it, and just like really held her own out there. I'm trying to see what else. Okay, yeah, let's go on over to talk about the Pac-12 awards, because the Pac-12 awards came out. So, of course, Player of the Year, UCLA's Maya Brady was voted Pac-12 Player of the Year this year for the second consecutive season. I mean, I think we all saw this coming, and I think it's very well deserved. This season, she's batting .410 with 55 hits, 10 doubles, 15 home runs, and 58 RBIs, 2 away from her career high, by the way, so she's for sure going to do that. I was watching one of the games, and they just talked about like where Maya ranks in like UCLA history, and she's like top 5 in most categories, in like literally almost all categories. So she's literally having one of her best years, and so it's really cool to see that. Obviously, consecutive Pac-12 Player of the Year. They also showed this on TV too. They said that she is one of like 4 or 5 people to have multiple consecutive Pac-12 Player of the Year awards. So like, she's up there with people like Coach Lisa Fernandez, and Rachel Garcia. Like, to be like grouped with people of that high of stature is like insane. So congratulations to her. Pac-12 Pitcher of the Year. Can you guys guess who that is? I mean, I'm sure there's no question in your head. Obviously, it's Stanford's Nyjah Kennedy. I think I called this like week one. This was just so obvious. She's been so strong literally all year long for Stanford. This season, she has a .53 ERA, which is leading the nation. She's pitched 158 innings. She's only given up 12 earned runs. 12 earned runs. That's insane. And 243 strikeouts this season. Like, she's only a sophomore. I think that's the craziest thing is, like, her freshman campaign was incredible. And then, like, she came back this year 10 times better. No, I shouldn't say 10 times better because, again, she did so well her first year. But she is just so strong, just continues to dominate. So, obviously, very well deserved for her. Arizona's Taylor Beal and Oregon's Paige Sinicki are the co-defensive player of the year. They're both great defenders. I mean, if you haven't seen them play, they're just out there making crazy plays out there. So congratulations to them. UCLA's Caitlin Terry was named Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. So, I mean, I just told you everything she just did last weekend. So very well deserved. I honestly was kind of not shocked, but she deserved it 100%. I'm not trying to take that away from her. I think I was kind of thinking that they were going to give that to Reagan Shockey of Arizona because she did really well as well. Obviously, I'm glad. I wonder if they would have ever considered doing a co. And I wonder what made them put Caitlin Terry above Reagan Shockey. I mean, either way, both of them are amazing. Super happy for Caitlin for that. Or KT, most people call her. Of course, UCLA's head coach Kelly Noe Perez, Pac-12 Coach of the Year for the second straight year. And then Utah's Abby Dayton, of course, Pac-12 batting champ after hitting a league high 444. That's just insane. So congratulations to her. Now let's talk all things postseason after the Pac-12 tournament. So next week will be, Sunday, Selection Show Sunday. On Sunday, we will find out exactly who's making the tournament, who's going where, and kind of just like we'll figure out the whole map and road to the College World Series, to the championship. That'll be fun. Selection Sunday is always fun. Always fun to see like who ends up going where, and I do wish that we would get a little bit of like some explanation as to like why certain teams were sent to certain places, because sometimes it doesn't always make sense. But let's start off with rankings. So rankings so far, if we're going off Softball America's rankings, number one, we have UCLA's ranked 6th in the nation. So yeah, they just turned it up. They started off down here and they are just slowly on the incline, hopefully. So they're ranked 6, so that'll be really good. They will, if they continue to win, if let's say they win tonight against Arizona, and let's say they win tomorrow to win the championship, the Pac-12 tournament, that'll be huge. They'll probably stay. Actually, I don't know, because Oklahoma State was ranked 3rd and they got upset by BYU. So they'll probably drop. Oklahoma probably will not drop. Texas probably won't. Tennessee lost to LSU, so they'll probably drop. I'm going to be honest, I don't know Duke. I don't know what Duke has done in their conference tournament, so those could kind of shuffle up. UCLA honestly could move up to 5. UCLA can move up to 5. And then Stanford 7. So same thing could happen for Stanford depending on what happens with the schools, above them. But yeah, so we have UCLA at 6, Stanford at 7. We have Washington at 15. Washington, it's so hard because with these conference tournaments, I don't know how much of it goes into the postseason rankings, like the top 64, because I know it's also based on RPI as well, not just like regular standings. So that'll be interesting. I want to say Washington's pretty up there in RPI, but I'm not really sure. I know last year when UCLA lost the Pac-12 tournament championship to Utah, we still stayed the same. We still stayed number 2. So again, I don't know what happens in the tournament. I mean, unless you just like crap the bed, maybe. I don't know, to be honest. But yeah, so we have Washington at 15 and Arizona 22. I think Arizona will go up regardless. And that's the last for the top 25 as far as for the Pac-12 schools. So that'll be interesting to see that and to see where everyone goes. Again, we'll find this out on Sunday. And I believe that every school except for Oregon State and ASU should be making some type of regional for sure. They should definitely be making the Pac-12, the NCAA tournament. So I think if we talk about these schools, let's start from like top to bottom. So number 1, UCLA. Again, UCLA the past couple weeks has just been turning it on. They've been on the incline, just doing so well. So we'll see if they continue to do that for the rest of this season. Obviously last year got taken out at regionals, very unexpected. So we'll see how they do. I mean, I think if they can get Taylor Tinsley and KT to continue doing what they're doing, then they'll be amazing. Offensively, they've definitely been stepping it up. They've been getting some hits. So I think if they can piece it all together, they will do really well the remainder of the season. Same for Stanford. Obviously, they have Nyjah, so Nyjah's doing amazing. I think the same thing. I think sometimes Stanford's hitters do not always show up, and they don't always click at the same time. And obviously, you definitely can't win big games if you don't have that offense. And they have the hitters, they have the ability. I just don't think they always get it done. So it'll be definitely really interesting to see what the rest of Stanford's season looks like. I mean, regardless, I think their pitching staff's done really, really well. So if anything, I think their pitching can definitely hold them for a long time. It's their hitting that's gonna have to be what steps up a little bit more, but I still see them going really far into the postseason. Washington, I'm just really shocked just on Washington's performance the past couple weeks. Not couple weeks, I guess just to say 2 weeks, just like with the losses they've taken, because I feel like they started off so well and they've done so well. So to see them kind of struggle a little bit these past like weeks or two, it definitely pains me to see that. Again, their pitching staff's so good, so we'll have to see as far as what they do. But I think if they can get back on track to where they were, they'll do really well. Same thing for Oregon. Oregon is doing okay. They aren't like doing super anything crazy, but they're also not doing bad either. So I think I hope they get to, they're put in a region where they can compete against some really top teams, because I feel like that's one thing with Oregon is like they turn it on. I mean, they will turn it on and they will get things done. They have the ability to hit. I think their pitching maybe struggles a little bit, but they can definitely hit. Their defense is amazing. So I think if they can get to a regional where they are not facing super duper tough pitching, I think they can do good, to be honest. I mean, I think same for Arizona. Arizona's doing really well right now these past couple weeks. They've definitely turned it on as well. Getting that win from Washington, their offense just came alive, obviously. So I think let's see how they do tonight against UCLA. They could even get the win from UCLA, and that will be even more momentum into going into the postseason. So they can definitely do it as well. Utah, it's kind of same thing. I think they have some momentum right now. They play Stanford tonight. That'll be a really big game for them going into the postseason. And I think the biggest thing, I don't want to say biggest thing, but Utah's pitching staff and their offense struggle as well. They struggle they struggle kind of on different days, sometimes on the same days. I want to see Mariah Lopez dominate the way that she did last year, because if we could get that Mariah Lopez that was last year, they will be they would be unstoppable. She struggled a little bit this season, still doing amazing, don't get me wrong. But I want to see the Mariah Lopez of last year, because she went off. They have some fast hitters. They have Abby Dayton, they have Haley Denning, you know, short gamers that can get on, even can hit a home run. They have Julia Jimenez. Like, they have a lot of their same hitters. So I want to see the Utah team of last year. I want them to come out. I don't know what needs to happen for them, but I want that team to come out, especially for the postseason. And yeah, that's what I want to see. It would be crazy if they could become Pac-12 champs again, or, you know, the Pac-12 tournament champs again. That would be so crazy. But yeah, between Arizona, Utah, Stanford, and UCLA, if you told me at the beginning of the season, the last 4 teams in the Pac-12 tournament were going to be Arizona, Utah, Stanford, and UCLA, I would be like, huh? There's no way. There's no way. I thought that Stanford or Washington were going to be the regular season champs. So obviously no hate to UCLA. Obviously I'm an alumni. But I thought that one of them were going to win. So seeing UCLA come up, starting from like mid to bottom to come all the way up was huge for them. So I think if you told me at the beginning, I would have said UCLA, Stanford, Washington, and Oregon would have been the 4 last standing teams. But obviously we did not get that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see who ends up coming out as the Pac-12 tournament champ. I feel like stuff always happens during this time. So lastly, we have Cal to talk about. Again, I already talked about Cal a little bit, but they turned it on, and they did really good last year against Oklahoma, or just in that regional in general. So we'll see. Again, I'm really excited to see where everyone goes. I hope and pray that they do not screw over any Pac-12 schools. Like, it's our last year. Please don't do anything crazy. I feel like every year it's always something of like pairing Pac-12 schools against each other and just sending them all the way across the country to face these crazy schools, and it's like, you didn't need to do that. You didn't need to do that at all. So again, hoping on Sunday that we get some fair shots for the Pac-12. I feel like every year, I don't want to say any hate to any other conference, but I feel like every year people are like, this conference has 11 schools in the Pac-12 tournament, or I keep saying Pac-12 tournament, have 11 schools in the NCAA tournament. It's like, yeah, you guys have like 20 schools in your conference. Like, yeah, that's gonna happen. And then the Pac-12 always ends up having, I don't know how many they had last year, but the Pac-12 always ends up having a lot of people either at the World Series or in like that go far in the postseason. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what ends up happening. So we'll find out Sunday. That's all I have for you guys this week. I don't know if I'll have any more guests on the rest of this series of the podcast, but hopefully we'll see. But as always, I will see you guys next Friday. And yeah, so